Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and thanks for joining me for today's video. Just sitting in the car line here waiting to pick up Elijah, and wanted to do a video, guys, on Chartreuse lures, sort of talk a little bit about when I like to use them, when they're effective, a lot of the myths surrounding it, and just a general good conversation about Chartreuse lures. So we're going to get into that in today's video. Also, guys, a quick reminder, just like to invite everybody to please consider hitting that subscribe button here at Intuitive Angling. Free and easy to do so, man. If you like the content here and you want it to help the channel out, if you just hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, comment on the video, share the videos is a good way to do it. And also, guys, if you want to go to the next level to help the channel out, you can be a channel member. And channel members get private videos every week that are not seen by the public. And you also get my personal email address for your fishing questions. So just click the join button for information and get you all set up with that. So really appreciate that and putting up with the plugs there. Okay, Chartreuse bait. Guys, Chartreuse baits have been around forever, man. They've been, ever since I've been fishing. Yellow or Chartreuse, I don't really see much of a difference. I'm sort of colorblind to some colors. So when people say Chartreuse or yellow, it's sort of one and the same to me. There's slight differences, but I have not found that the bass react any different to a yellow or Chartreuse lure. It's the same thing. It's a bright colored lure, and it appeals to bass in different ways. And that's sort of what I want to get into today is all, all the different scenarios that a Chartreuse lure is going to work. Okay, first of all, one of the things that, like a foundational principle of a Chartreuse lure, is that it always appeals to the larger aggressive fish. It may not be the best color. There may be a lot better colors out there to catch more bass, but if you can get them to go on a Chartreuse bait, guys, the fish are almost always bigger. And it's like I said, it's a really good color to throw for aggressive fish. So one of the first things that I do with a Chartreuse lure is I tend to throw a Chartreuse lure a lot right off the bat in the morning, or when I first get to a spot where I think there's a lot of fish on. Let's say, for example, that I'm cranking a main lake point with a deep diving crankbait. I'll always start out with the Chartreuse bait every single time, because I know if there's a bigger aggressive fish on that point, they are going to bite Chartreuse better than they're going to bite a shad pattern or a perch pattern or anything. Same thing if I'm fishing like a square bill crankbait. If I'm fishing a square bill crankbait around lay down trees, it's always just bright Chartreuse one right off the bat. I got different ones colored, different colors tied on, but I always want to come in there first with that Chartreuse. That is a foundational principle that you will always see with Chartreuse. Okay, the second thing is, like, when does this work consistently, like throughout the day? There's a couple different scenarios, and they're sort of a paradox based upon the species of the bass that you're fishing. The best situation for a Chartreuse bright crankbait is the obvious. It's off-colored, dirty water. That's usually when it works the best. So if you have water visibility that's like less than 12 inches, sort of that 4 inches visibility to about 12 inches of visibility, Chartreuse is a really good color. It's brighter. They can see it in that dirtier water. Always a really good choice for really, really dirty water. Now, the next level of water clarity, let's say, for example, you've got that window of 4-inch clarity up to 12-inch clarity, and it's a typical partly cloudy day with not much wind. That's one scenario. You can also catch them on Chartreuse. Let's say if you have 2 foot of visibility, but your light intensity is reduced. Say, for example, you got 2 foot of visibility and it's a cloudy day and the wind's blowing 15 miles an hour. Or you've got 2 foot of visibility and it's 7 o'clock in the morning and it's really shady, on the bank you're fishing. That is another situation where a Chartreuse lure is going to work, is in a more low light situation with a little bit clearer water. Okay, that is one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is a Chartreuse bait works good in extremely clear water. So one of the sort of like the odd things about a Chartreuse crankbait, or a Chartreuse lure, is it works in either dirty water or really clear water. I don't hardly ever fish a Chartreuse bait in that in-between average water clarity, which the average water clarity is like, say, 2.5 to 4 foot in a lot of lakes. I just haven't done that good in it, but I've done good in it in dirty water, and I've done good in it in very clear water, like water visibilities over 4 feet if you have a couple different set of circumstances. First of all, smallmouth. If you're on a smallmouth fishery that is predominantly smallmouth, like up north, I think a lot of people know, people have talked about this for years, they like smallmouth like a chartreuse bait. And they do in really, really clear water. It's like if you can throw a chartreuse topwater lure, a chartreuse spinner bait, a chartreuse jerk bait, in water visibility like 10-foot clarity with smallmouth, you can catch giants. Guys, the best day of fishing I ever had in my life was at Lake Champlain on a Chartreuse Megabass Giant Dog X for smallmouth. Water visibility was 10-foot clarity. Some of the other best days I've ever had, like on the Great Lakes, like Lake Erie, St. Clair, again, Champlain, is a bright chartreuse spinnerbait with a chartreuse skirt and a chartreuse blade. Smallmouth love that color in bright, clear water, bright conditions, like bright sunny conditions. Works really, really good with that. Okay, the other times that I've done good on chartreuse is in clear water, is primarily with a topwater lure. A solid chartreuse topwater lure is a really good bait in clear water if you have the right conditions. If you have a day where you've got water visibility of over 4-foot clarity, 4 to 10-foot clarity, and you have some type of a cloudy day with not much wind, like a pretty calm condition with clouds and really clear water, guys, I have whacked them on like a chartreuse walking bait, a chartreuse buzz bait, chartreuse whopper plopper. Any type of chartreuse bait in those conditions will catch largemouth, spotted bass, and smallmouth. But for whatever reason, you got to have that situation of clouds with not much wind. I remember a prime example of this is we were fishing a Bassmaster. It was a Bassmaster Open on Lake Cherokee in Tennessee. And guys, I should have absolutely, I finished 47th, I think, in that, or 42nd in that tournament. Guys, I should have blown that tournament away. I should have won it by like 10 pounds. And I was fishing a chartreuse walking bait, chartreuse Megabass Giant Dog X, chartreuse Megabass Diamante. And guys, you cannot believe how many big fish I lost on that thing. I probably lost, I don't know, 10 smallmouth and spotted bass between 3 to 5 pounds throughout the course of that 3-day tournament. They'd blow up on the thing, they'd nail it, I'd fight them halfway back to the boat, and they'd throw the hook. They just weren't eating it good. They were, I think a lot of them were hitting it with their mouth shut, because I saw several of them that would jump over it with their mouths pinched tight. And I think what was happening is the majority of those fish were trying to kill that bait because it was so bright in the water. And I think they were hitting it with their nose, with their mouth shut. And I'd hook them for a little bit. I'd get like one hook on maybe on the outside of their body somewhere, and then they jump and throw the bait. So that was a tournament to remember. I can't, that was such a fun deal. And anyway, those conditions in that tournament is we had like 5 foot of visibility in the water. It was cloudy. There wasn't much wind. Water temperatures were in the 60s. That was just the scenario with that. But anyway, guys, that's just a few of my experience with, when I'm talking about chartreuse, I'm talking about like a solid chartreuse bait, except for like a crankbait with a chartreuse side, maybe a black back or something like that. But there's a time and place for them, man. You got to have some in your box. If you run into those conditions that I just described, toss that chartreuse out there. It's a really good bait to catch a lot of fish on. So hope it helps you guys out. We'll talk later.